Welcome back to pregame.tv. We're going to take a look at a big matchup in the ACC. We've got two top 10 teams. Clemson travels to Florida State. Guys, this is my free pick, so I'm going to start it off and tell you, we've got two explosive offenses in this game. Both teams can score, but I think only one team can play defense in this game, and that is going to be the difference in this game. I like Florida State. Clemson, I just don't think they're going to be able to stop Florida State. And when they start trading points and Clemson gets stopped or held to a field goal and Florida State puts 7 up and we start to get some separation, Clemson's going to be forced to abandon their game plan and have to force the issue, and that's when this Florida State defense is at their best. Bryan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, you talked about the Florida State defense. They played 3 games. They've given up a total of 3 points, an average of 1 point per game. Here's my lock of the week. Clemson will not score 1 point in this game. But I agree with everything you said. And in fact, I had Wake last week, and that was my loser on Saturday. But, you know, you take a look at Florida State, and you've got, some guys don't like to look at history, but you got a Florida State team who hasn't had a single winning year as a conference home favorite in the last decade. They're 16-28 against the spread at home. They're always overrated as a home favorite. That's my only concern here.
Tony?
It's a big point spread here for a team, I think, that is going to be able to increase the defense allowed 1 point per game average. I think Clemson is going to be able to put some points on the board here, but as you said, getting out of their game plan, if they're playing huge catch-up, is going to be a problem for them. Well,
that's the whole point of this game. Clemson scored a ton of points so far, but Clemson has played Auburn, which, okay, that win, at the beginning of the season, okay, that looked like a great win opener. Now what Auburn's done the last 2 weeks, that win doesn't mean anything right now. Then they roll a Ball State team. Ball State actually scored some points on them. That's what gives me concern. But Ball State doesn't put up a big defensive front. And then Furman, come on. Now they're going to go against this Florida State team. And Florida State, what impressed me last week, and I know you had Wake Forest. Wake Forest only had 126 yards. And that game was so far out of hand, this team never stopped playing defense. How many times you see a team get a big lead, they go into the prevent? Now, they were pitching the shutout, so they were trying to get the shutout, and they did. But still, 126 yards of offense, and you're losing by 52 points.
They fell down so quickly that Wake Forest was completely taken out of their game plan. So when you become one-dimensional, basically, when people know you're going to throw, you're not going to be able to throw, and that's what happened in that game.
And that's my concern here with Clemson. Now, Clemson's not going to fall down, as bad as Wake Forest did, but in a big game like this, 2 scores is meaningful. If Florida State gets up 14-0, then Clemson, they got to react, because with that defense, you put them in 3rd and longs, or you've got to be passing on every down, and they come with that, speed. Did you see? That's what impressed me the most. Now, I realize Wake Forest doesn't have the athletes that Florida State has, but it looked like Florida State was running downhill and Wake Forest was in sand.
The only time Clemson runs downhill is when they leave the locker room.
to touch the stone. And don't forget, this also is a Clemson team that got lit up for over 70 points in a bowl game last year against a high-octane West Virginia team, one of the better teams in the Big 12, one of the better teams in the country. But, boy, they ate their lunch in that bowl game last year.
Florida State's offense is not as good as West Virginia's, but Florida State's defense is 10 times better than West Virginia's. So I just see this as a statement game for Florida State. This team, they're flying under the radar as far as the national championship. Nobody's really now that USC fell last week, they're into the mix. So I think this is their statement game. It'll be nationally televised game. They make a statement, you're going to have to start talking about 3 teams. It's going to be a 3-headed horse race to the national championship, because who else is in the ACC that can challenge Florida State?
Virginia Tech.
The team that we thought was going to challenge them.
They got beat bad last week by Pitt, and everybody was down on Pitt.
Trust me, who was texting you during that game, Mr. Pitt? I'm going, where did these guys come from, and why didn't you warn me? Because I put my clients into a big trap line on that one.
That was the first week I didn't bet Pitt, so that was the secret.
Well, I didn't bet him either, but I said I couldn't go against him either. It was just this I had to watch and see, and that's something for a handicapping tip. You can learn stuff by not betting a game too, and we learned that this coach got this team back together and got the fundamentals. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. It's my free pick. It's not a best bet, but it is my free pick, and we're going to go to it next. All right, guys, we're taking Florida State. I'm going to lay the wood. I have no problem laying the points here. Clemson is a good team, but they're not as good as this Florida State edition. This game gets decided by defense. Look for Florida State to put constant pressure on Clemson and their quarterback, and they're going to cause some turnovers. I'm going to look for 3 turnovers in this game from this Florida State defense. Once this game gets a little bit out of hand, look for them to open it up and pin their ears back and come after that Clemson offense and quarterback who is prone to making mistakes. I've got Florida State winning big. I got them by 21 or more on Saturday. All right, guys, great stuff on this one. We've got more college. We're finished up the college action. We've got some NFL coming up next. So stay tuned, guys, here on pregame.tv.